obligation on the authorities to maintain the record in a particular way so as to furnish the same as and when requested without causing any delay to the person who requested it. Then 4.2 is very important. 4.1 says how to keep the record, and there is an obligation on the public authority to keep the record in such form. 4.2 says whether somebody asked or not, the public authority has under a duty suo moto to give some information about that particular record to the public at regular intervals, not at one time. That is the reason why you are finding so much information about the records of the various public authorities in the net and other places. This section 4.2 makes or creates a duty or obligation on the public authorities to keep suo moto to the public at regular intervals through various means of communications, including internet, so that the public have minimum resort to the use of this act to obtain information. So, transparency, to achieve the transparency and accountability and also working of every public authority in a regular and proper way, 4.1 says the record has to be maintained in a proper way. 4.2 says minimum information through various means of communication, the public authorities has to suo moto through various means of communications inform to the public. Now it's a open book, as I said earlier, right from the VRO up to the level of Chief Secretary of either state or center. Their working has made open. Everything is now has to be informed, but subject to the various provisions of this act. And how you have to disseminate this information suo moto widely in such form and manner which is easily accessible to all the public. So what you have to do is you have to see the public authority whether discharged his obligation by keeping the record correctly, and secondly, has he taken the responsibility and disseminated that information minimum required widely and in such form and manner which is easily accessible to the public. Then if possible in electronic format also he has to do it. For the purpose of section 3 and 4, disseminated means making known or communicated the information to the public through notice boards and newspapers, public announcements, media broadcasts, whatnot. He must make use of all the means and disseminate the information, the basic things very easily accessible to the public, so that people will not require to approach the public authorities time and again for various information. Minimum use of this act. Then, for any reason he did not do so, you are entitled, if you are a citizen, to make a request for some information subject relating to the public authority at no cost in the easiest way by making an application in writing or online. Then section 5 deals with designations of public information officers. This you can know very well. There will be a central public information officer at central level and state public information officer at state level, and then a senior officer specified under subsection 1 of section 19 or the Central Information Commission or the State Information, as the case may be. So in each office, in each public office, there will be one officer who is called information officer, who has to receive the applications received either online or post or otherwise by approaching and directly submitting the same designated officer. in order to inform the information, give the information to all. This is section 5. Section 6 says about how you can make request. This request for obtaining information is a very small act, nearly 28 or 30 sections. So important sections I am giving you, and then I will give you case law at last 5 or 6 cases. Very easy but very difficult. Very easy means sections are very less, but content is very, very serious because it treats with transparency and accountability, and it wants to avoid the corruption. And every public authority is bound to give information subject to provisions of this act. So section 6 says there is a request which has to be made for obtaining information. Here he used the word a person. A person means you must keep in mind, as per section 3, only citizen. A person means non-citizen is not a person. So only citizens are entitled to seek for information under this act. So section 6 says a person who desires to obtain any information under this act shall make a request. He shall make a request. How? In writing or through electronic means, either in English or Hindi, in the official language of the area in which the application is being made, accompanying such fees as may be prescribed to. Now it is prescribed as 10 rupees, and it may increase or decrease, but fees you have to pay, but at no cost. This fees is along with the application. Thereafter, no fees. So this section 6 says, one says, who are the officers to whom you must make an application? That is at central level, central public information officer or state public officer, and or other officers who are there in the respective offices. There will be one board also kept before that officer stating that he is the concerned information officer. You can give application either directly to him or send it by post or send it through internet also. Then section 6.2 says, any applicant, this is very, very, very important. You will definitely get a question on this because there is a lot of controversy on this section 6.2. If you read section 6, it means you are going to get 1 mark definitely. So I am repeatedly telling, section 1 says a person. A person means you must keep in mind section 3, citizen. So citizen desires to obtain any information, he shall make a request either in writing or through internet, that is electronic means, either in English or Hindi or the local language, accompanying some fees to be paid. Now it is 10 rupees, and it must be made to concerned officers who are there to render all reasonable assistance to you. When you make orally also, suppose you go there, you say, I don't know the language, I don't have paper, I want this information, then it is the obligation of that officer created under this section 6B on that authority to reduce your oral request in writing and then make it as an application on your behalf. Even oral request, the obligation is there on the public authority to reduce it in writing and treat it as an application, but you have to pay the fees. Now the fees is 10 rupees along with an application. This is not by way of cash, but by way of stamps you have to kept it. So section 2 is important. You are going to get one question on this. What is section 6.2? And because I have seen some of the IAS papers and controversy, lot of controversy. I will tell you about that controversy at the end. In March, there is a decision of Honorable Supreme Court which is going to violate, which violated this act. I will explain how that decision of the Supreme Court violated the Right to Information Act 2005 and section 6.2. What is section 6.2? An applicant making request for information shall not be required. This is very important. shall not be required to give any reason for requesting the information or any other personal details except those that may be necessary for contacting him. So you want to make a request for some information. There is no obligation on you to furnish the reasons why you want that information. That is first thing. Second thing is, there is no obligation on you to give any details about you, personal details of you. You don't require to give your personal details. What is your income? What is your gender? What is your other relevant materials? What you have to inform is only your address for contacting you easily. If this information you are given, that is enough. They are not entitled to say or ask you to give other details of you. This is what section 2 says. Then how this section 2 is violated by Supreme Court judgment, I will tell you in the later. And this controversy, it has to be resolved. Due to that, definitely they are going to ask you the question either in the interview or in the written test. So I am again reading section 6.2. 6.2 says, an applicant making request for information shall not be required to give any reason for requesting the information or any other personal details except those that may be necessary for contacting him. Okay. Then section 6.3 says, whom you have to make this application. Suppose you have made an application to a public authority. That public authority is not having the information with him. And the information which you sought for subject matter is connected with the functions of any other public authority. Then the same application he will transfer to that person, public authority, and inform the applicant immediately about such transfer. You need not go and give it to again to other person who is connected to that matter. If you once give that application to any public relation officer, if he is not holding the information and some other public authority is holding the information, then the public officer has to transfer that application directly to that man under information to the applicant, that is citizen of this country who made that application, that your application is transferred to so-and-so person, and then that public authority will give you the information. This is what section 6.2 says. Section 7 says, the information must be furnished as expeditiously as possible, and in any case within 30 days of the receipt of request. So within 30 days you must get that information. Another provision, that nation sought for concerns to life or liberty of a person need not be of you who made the application. If that information is required in relation to the life or liberty of any person, need not be only the applicant, then the same shall be provided within 48 hours of the receipt of the request. So this is what the time limit. If it is general information, as expeditiously as possible, it has to be given to you. And for any reason, if it is not given expeditiously, then it must be given within 30 days. If it relates to the life or liberty of a person, then it must be given within 48 hours. So this is very important. Suppose if that is not given, if he fails to give the decision on the request for information within that period, as the case may be, whether to Central Public Information Officer or State Public Information Officer, it is deemed to have refused the request. Suppose you don't get the answer within 30 days, then you can deem it as refused. Your application is refused. Then you can take appropriate steps, like you can go on appeal over to the appellate authority and request for furnishing that information which you want know. So that is another aspect of this. Suppose any fees has to be representing the cost for providing the information, then it has to be intimated. Suppose, let us say, there is some information which is in bundles. Suppose 100 bundles are there. You ask that information. So the cost will be informed to you. Sir, each page will cost 1 rupee. One bundle 100 rupees. 100 bundles is so much. You must pay it immediately. Suppose if you pay that, then the information will be given to you. Then section 7.4 is another important. Where access to the record or a part thereof is required to be provided under this act, and the person to whom access is to be provided is sensorily disabled. Is a sensorily disabled person wants some information, then the officer shall provide assistance to enable access to the information, including what is that assistance? Including provide such assistance as may be appropriate for the inspection. So you can go and request, if you are a sensorily disabled, sir, I want to see the document first, then I will make an application. So the public authority is under obligation to allow you to inspect the document or record at first. And after seeing that, you can make a request. If it is in electronic form, you must say necessary fees. Then another important is section 6.7. 7.7. 7.7 is also very important because this is dealing with the information relating to a third party. Already we discussed at the beginning. There are three persons. A person who is making request, and it relates to public authority, public record, and there is a public relation officer. Then is no problem. If that information which you are seeking for relates to a third party means a party not connected to government, not connected to public authority. But in some cases, even public authority also is defined as third party. If you want any information relating to a third party, then section 7.7, this is very important. Only two sections are important in both this act, in entire act. One is section 6 and another is section 7. Section 6 to already I stated about the controversy regarding whether reasons has to be given for the submitting and requesting the application. 7.7 says, before taking any decision under subsection 1, the public information officer has to take a decision whether to furnish information to you or not. Before taking that decision, if that public relation officer feels that the information that is required relating to a third party, then he shall take into consideration the representation made by a third party under section 11. So under section 11, there is a procedure contemplated in relation to any information concerning to third parties. If it relates to public records, you are entitled for that information subject to provisions of this act. If it relates to a third party information, suppose you are asking about my salary details. That salary details relates to public authority. If you are asking for my personal properties while I am working as a judge, it relates to my personal affairs. So I am a third party. Then as per section 11, by following that procedure only, you have to give information to the person, or that means a citizen who requested for that information. So section 7.7 is very important. It says, if you are asking for any information about a third party, then section 11 procedure has to be followed. This is important. What is section 11 procedure? We'll see at a little later stage. Then you may ask, sir, am I entitled for any information? Relating to any other authorities? No. You are entitled for information in relation to public records holding by public authorities, subject to the exemptions given under Section 8. Section 8 gives some exemptions. There are about 9 exemptions, A to I. Like relating to army, relating to cabinet papers, relating to some investigation matters, some fiduciary relationship, unless the competent authority is satisfied that the larger public interest warrants the disclosure of such information. So, whatever subjects that are mentioned under Section 8 and also under Schedule 2, Schedule B, I suppose. There are two schedules. There are two schedules. One, A and B. Schedule A and B. In second schedule, there are certain matters relating to intelligence and security organizations established by the central government, which are mentioned as per Section 24 in the second schedule. You are not entitled for the information because the Act says so. In the second schedule, they mentioned Intelligence Bureau, Director of Revenue Intelligence, Central Economic Intelligence Bureau. Section 24 says the government has got power to declare a particular organization information shall not be punished. So, as per Section 24 schedule, second schedule, they have mentioned some authorities such as National Security Council, Border Road Development Board. It all relates to army and air force and other things and intelligence forces and all. You are not entitled for information on those subjects. And also the items relate to A to I mentioned in Section 8. So you must readily know by reading this Section 8 and second schedule about what are the matters, what is the information that a citizen is not entitled. Section 8 deals with. Then Section 9 says if it relates to any information on which a copyright is given, then also you are not entitled for information. If that copyright or the information which you which you requested to provide access involves an infringement of copyright subsisting in a person other than the state. So you asked for information about a copyright which does not relate to state but relate to some other person. If a copyright is given to a third party, then you are not entitled to seek for information. If that copyright is of the state, you may ask, the authority may give. But third parties copyrights information you are not entitled to be given. Then there is another difficulty which is solved by Section 8. Suppose you sought for several informations, out of which you are entitled for 3 subjects. Suppose you asked for 10 subjects information. You are entitled for 3 and you are not entitled for the remaining 1. Then the Act section 10 says, to that extent for which you are entitled, information has to be furnished, and the rest of the matters on which you are not entitled for information, it is deemed as refused, and a notice will be given to you informing that you are not entitled for the information relating to so and so subjects for which you requested to give the information. Then now we are going to deal with Section 11. Madam, how much time is there?
Sir, can we conclude?
How much time is there?
Can we conclude in 5-10 minutes, sir? And if you want, you can continue in the next class. It's already 6:45.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then we will discuss about the we will discuss about the rest of the sections from section 11 to 28 in the next class. But before that, I have come prepared with the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court, which every citizen of this country must read. So this is relating to. I am reading it. I will also send it to Padmanabh Rao Garu or Madam, which she will give it to you, and read this judgment, which is a very short judgment but very interesting. If you read it, you are going to get lot of information. This judgment is Chief Information of Commissioner versus High Court of Gujarat. Chief Information Commissioner versus High Court of Gujarat. What happened is, if this case relates to a matter, subject matter which is concerned to High Court of Gujarat, under sections 27 and 28, public authorities or the institutions, they can make their own rules how that information has to be given to you. So High Court of Gujarat has made rules mentioning you have to furnish the reasons why you are seeking for this information. Act 3 says no reason. Act 4, section 4 says no reasons required to be given. Then the High Court said reasons has to be given. Then ultimately the Honorable Supreme Court, without following the canons of law, more particularly the provisions of this RTA Act, has given a judgment by oversighting of a fundamental right principle of legal reasoning. When analyzing a legal provision relating to the issue at hand, the provision must be read in its entirety. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court judgment overlooks significantly relevant segments of the legal provisions in its analysis while relying on the other portions thereof. In doing so, the judgment has set a dangerously low bar for what passes muster as the law of the land. So, ruling of this judgment is, the judgment overturned the fundamental principle of the Act that no reasons are required to be given for requesting information under the Act. So Act says you don't require to give any reasons why you are requesting for information. But the Honorable High Court framed some laws, rules under section 28 saying that you have to give reasons. The Supreme Court held that rule is correct. So there is a controversy. The judgment of Supreme Court is contrary to section 4, which says no reasons to be given. So this judgment is given in the month of March, just before pandemic. That's why people are not much aware, not fighting for this. But in due course of time, there will be a lot of fight, and the judgment will have to be changed. So this controversy they will ask you definitely. So with this, I am stopping at section 11.